73 points. What was your mindset coming into tonight's game?
Get a win, man.
20 from the line and an 81-point game. You have witnessed the second greatest scoring performance in NBA history.
I was waiting for a 70-point game to drop this video, but that is no longer looking likely. Anyways, a couple months ago, people were saying that 70 was the new 50 due to the increase of pace, lack of defense, and inflation. The narrative was that 70 points in today's game is not as impressive as, 50 points back in the 90s.
We done with the 90s!
So I decided to make the most brain-numbing, mind-boggling formula known to man to determine which 70-plus point game should be considered the best scoring game. The main variables for this equation would be points. I mean, this is pretty obvious, right? Minutes, obviously the more you play, the more time you have to score more points. Shooting efficiency, obviously the more shots you take, the higher likelihood that you will score more points. And lastly, pace of game. Obviously more possessions means more shots. Once again, more shots mean potentially more points. And if we were to do some PEMDAS, we would end up with this formula.
Oh my God!
This would be the true shooting percentage multiplied by the percent of points per game multiplied by points per minute. This would give us something that I called pure point rating. And if we were to break the formula down to its simplest terms, it would look something like this. Yeah, I have no idea what I was cooking up. I made this like a month ago, but the results look valid, so we move. First, we're going to look at LeBron Raymond James because it wouldn't be a basketball stat video without my glorious king, my sunshine,
my only sunshine. You make me happy.
LeBron for his career has averaged 27 points and slightly under 38 minutes per game. Although pace changes year by year, we could say the average pace for his career was around 105. And these are his shooting splits from the field, the 3, and the free throw line. Putting these numbers together, we get a true shooting percentage of almost 0.59. We get a percent of point per game of over 0.25, as well as a points per minute of slightly above 0.7. Using these three numbers, we end up with a pure point rating of 0.108. So we can say that an average game for a superstar would have a pure point rating of around 0.1. Now let's move on to the 70-plus point games. Throughout NBA history, we've had 15 70-plus point games. Looking at them in order from lowest to highest on pure point rating, we could see we have Wilt numerous times with Elgin Baylor, Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, David Robinson, Joel Embiid, David Thompson, and Damian Lillard. At number 3, we got Luka, and the main thing that sticks out for him is the true shooting percentage, as he has the highest true shooting percentage out of everyone in the 70-point club. At number 2, we got Wilt, and the main thing that sticks out for him is obviously the points in terms of percent of points per game and points per minute, as he has the most in both these categories. And at number 1, which should be considered the greatest scoring game of all time, we got Kobe with his 81. Amongst 70-point game, it was 5th highest in true shooting percentage, as well as 2nd for percent of point per game and 2nd for points per minute. Now that we know where all the best scoring games compare to one another, let's go back and address the narrative that 70 is the new 50. And what comparison would be better than the best player in the 90s all-time career high game? Michael Jordan in his career high 69-point game had a true shooting percentage of .732, a percent of point per game of .645, and a point per minute of 1.38. Putting all of these together, we get a pure point rating of .652, which is actually a lower rating than all the 70-point games of the modern era.
We done with the 90s!
So no, 70 is not the new 50. 70 is still 70. Although the pace of the game has increased back to what it was during Wilt's time, the average minutes per game for a player has decreased, and any player reaching the 70-point mark has done it in higher efficiency. Once again, I made this equation over a month ago off 14 honey buns. But do you guys agree with the equation? Do you think Kobe has the best scoring game ever? Or do you think Wilt's 100 is still the best?
Tell me what you see. Is it money or it's me? I smoke 20, smell